Greetings, my name's Stevie P. I just want to do a walkthrough for this fight against the Hell House in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's a really difficult fight that lots of people struggle with, but I'd love to show you how to basically figure out where the vulnerable moments are, the vulnerable spots of the Hell House, such that you can make this pretty much a walk in the park. I'll show you my setup for it, and hopefully this will be something that can really help you. So, first of all, the most important things really is that you've got fire, ice, wind, and lightning. As long as you've got those between Cloud and Aeris, then you're in a good position to win the fight. I would say the next most important thing is having parry materia on Cloud. That's because with parry materia, you can block and dodge at the same time. Usually you can only do one or the other, but with parry materia, you can do both, which is really useful. It is also the only way that you can avoid certain attacks that the Hell House does. Steadfast block is just good in conjunction with parry materia because you get an ATB boost when guarding. So if you're going to be doing lots of guarding and there's going to be lots of things and projectiles flying in your direction, steadfast block is a good thing to have. And then I've got refocus on Cloud, mainly because it's fun in this battle for him to have 3 ATB bars instead of just the 2 if you get that opportunity. Aeris has assess, which I'd say is pretty important for this fight because it's important to know what the Hell House is vulnerable to in any given moment, and you can do that if you use assess materia. And then for healing, I've just got prayer and normal healing materia. I really like prayer, but I think most people would probably combine healing with magnify, probably. So that's the setup. Without further ado, let's get going with the actual fight. Yeah, I mean, the main thing really is to spot the bits where you've got a gap to exploit its weaknesses. And that's not easy to do because although it's a big thing, it moves really, really quickly. So, point in case, the minute you start the battle, it's already attacking you with this move called Chair Salvo, which is basically missile chairs that it launches in your direction. So using parry, I'm going to maneuver behind the house. Okay, so I only got hit by 1, which I blocked at the same time. So that's a pretty good start. Now I'm going to build up some ATB. Meanwhile, I'll just tell you, I mean, right now, if you're to press whatever button you need to press to bring these windows up, you can't tell what it's weak against because we've not used assess yet. But I mean, you can see that it's in its fire mode because the house is full of fire. So that means it's vulnerable right now to blizzard. Once you fought the Hell House enough times, you'll be able to tell what state it's in. But it's still useful to use assess when you can. So anyway, I'm going to build up some ATB. Let's go, let's go. So now it's throwing out these little things. These fluffy things, toys, that are also explosives. If you do everything right in this battle, the thing that will probably damage you the most are those little fluffy toys. They basically end up being like mines on the battlefield that just catch you unawares. Okay, so carry on building up some ATB. Okay, now in a second it's going to wiggle. When it wiggles, you need to move out of the way because it's about to launch itself at you, right? So let's see, there you go, it wiggled and then it launched. Now is an opportunity, a very small one, to use a magic spell against it. Magic spells against it that are, that it's vulnerable to dramatically increase its pressure gauge, right? So I'm only going to use Blizzard because you want something that's got a short casting time. The more powerful the spell, I think, as a general rule, the longer it takes to cast. So I'm just going to cast Blizzard against it. And even that might not work. Let's see if it does. Okay, it did. So if it moves, it might. Sometimes it dodges it, right? But in this case, it didn't. Okay, I got hit by 3 chairs that time, but it would have been a lot more if I didn't have parry. So that's the thing. Okay, it did its little wiggle and then it launched. I'm now going to assess it. That way we'll always be able to tell what it's vulnerable to. Okay, House Call means that it's going to launch into the air. And your only job is to avoid being landed upon. Ooh, which I nearly failed at. Okay, so just after it lands, I always notice the first time it does this, so it's not like this every time, but the first time it just becomes vulnerable to magic full stop. So that's what that little staff means under resistances against weaknesses and status ailments at the top right. It means that it's just vulnerable to magic in general. So let's do some magic. But as always, your window of opportunity is generally very small. So I'm just going to use some magic here to increase the pressure gauge. And then I'm going to jump over to Eris because I'm keen to build up her ATB. Having said that, one thing that is pretty important to note is you generally want to be in control of the character that is your tank. In other words, in this situation, you want to be in control of Cloud because, yeah, you really don't want it to be attacking Eris and doing lots of damage. So really, I'd only jump to Eris if I can see a window or if I'm wanting to build up her ATB for whatever reason. So it's vulnerable currently to any kind of magic, so I am going to get her to just quickly do a thunder attack, but then I'm going to jump back to Cloud immediately and start hacking away. Barrier shift, so what's it vulnerable to now? It's vulnerable to fire. So in this first phase of the battle, it's kind of easy because you're just attacking it with whatever it's vulnerable to and trying to catch those gaps when you can pull it off. When there's enough time to do it specifically. And that's usually just after it's performed some kind of maneuver. Okay, so fire attack against it, and that was enough to stagger it, right? So that's pretty good. Now we just hack away. Eris is able to do an attack, so let's do one. Don't think it really matters which one she does. Cloud's going to keep going. Now this is its next phase. One thing I didn't mention was at 75% of its health, it'll go into the next phase, and you really want to have Cloud selected because what it'll do, its first move is to charge at you full speed and it'll look like a maniac. And as it's charging, you want to put Cloud into Punisher mode and block because at the end of its charge, it does 2 attacks. The second attack does significant damage, so you want to be blocking with Punisher mode because that'll also counterattack, build up ATB, and as a result, it'll put it into a pressured state, which is perfect because you've successfully blocked. Do a couple of attacks, there you go, it's pressured. So now we just hack away with focused thrust to build up pressure. Now I'm going to jump back to Eris to build up ATB because I'm feeling like it would be fairly good for her to be able to do a bit of praying soon. And just give us a nice little heal. It's not, in fact, you know what? I'm just going to leave her with that nice stack of ATB. I'm not looking for the most quickest, I'm not doing a speed run here. I'm just trying to figure out the most comfortable, relaxing way of completing a fight that otherwise is extremely stressful. That's my goal, because I'm quite lazy, right? I just like to find a way of winning that's casual. Okay, so when it jumps up onto that platform, it'll always do house call. Sorry, when it jumps up onto the platform, it'll always do chair salvo. And when it does chair salvo, I always like to just have Cloud selected so that he can parry and dodge the chairs. Then as soon as it lands, you've got generally a little opportunity to do some magic against it. So let's just do something. Let's do like a thunder. And then I'm going to just attack with him. And then I don't know what it's going to be doing now, so let's just be a bit careful. There's jet stream, which you want to get out of the way of. So I think I'm probably in the mood to be healed fairly soon. Ooh, that was close. Managed to get her out of the way. Okay, run her away. So soon we're going to need a little bit of a heal. Housing rush. Okay, so this is the same as before. It's going to charge like a maniac. Put him into Punisher mode and block. Let it do its thing. He's at full ATB. It's now, any second now, in fact, going to be staggered again. So let's just heal up, do a pray. And the reason why I'm not doing anything right now is because as soon as I stagger it, I have a feeling it goes into its next mode soon. And what can happen is if you're using up an ATB to do something, but it goes into its next mode before you've actually completed the action, then you can wind up with a situation where you've used an ATB but not got the benefit of the move that you were using it for. Kind of a bit glitchy if you ask me, but I think close to halfway, it gets to a point where it will block the damage that you're doing. So anyway, let's stagger this thing. Okay, there we go. Staggered. Time to do some serious damage. Let's do Infinity's End. So with 2 ATB, you can do Infinity's End, which is, I think, the most powerful normal attack. So in other words, the most non-sort of limit break that you can do against a staggered enemy, to my knowledge, perhaps with the exception of some of the stuff that Tifa can do. So we're going to do that. We're going to build up some ATB. There you go. You see, look at that. That was 5,000 damage, but the damage was blocked at half health for the house. Now it goes into God mode. When it's in God mode, you can attack the right or the left arm. But I tend to just, again, because I'm lazy and I just want a comfortable way of winning this fight, I tend to just think, stay away from it. Because you can do very little damage against the main thing. Plus, it's got certain moves that it does that if you're right up close to it, like it'll just suck you in and then do, it'll suck you into it, and I don't like that. So tend to just keep my distance when it's in that mode. Now it's just doing chair salvo, so I'm going to dodge out of the way with Cloud. It's in God mode, it's doing house call, make sure it doesn't land on you. Yeah, we're looking quite good right now. I mean, I guess I could attack an arm. Let's just do it for fun, why not? Okay, then it does jet stream. That's why, I don't like getting too close to it. So right now, I think, in fact, Cloud could do with a heal. Maybe I'm being too greedy, getting too close to it. But there were also mines on the ground, and sometimes there's nothing that you can do to avoid the mines. Okay, housing shock. This is what we want. So this is the same as before, except this time it's also imbued with some sort of element. So it's weak against wind, and it's about to charge at Cloud. So what we're going to do is, with Aeris, is we're going to damage it with a wind attack. That'll pressurize it. Cloud then just does his normal thing, goes into Punisher mode. There you go, it's pressured. First attack, counter. Second attack, counter. And it's pressured. And we've got a limit break. And we've got a summon. But I'm not going to use either yet because I'm keen to put it. I'm keen to increase the pressure on it. So we're going to use Focus Thrust, then we're going to use Focus Thrust again. Then we're going to change to Aeris because I want to build up the ATB on her. Okay. And now we're going to... No, oh dear, I did completely the wrong one. Oh, that was silly. Oh, I meant to use refocus, but what I'm going to show you now is how you can even make stupid mistakes like that and still basically absolutely blitz this battle. So I would say that was a pretty big mistake. Okay, so this is a good opportunity to show you how... Okay, it's doing this move called Renewed Hospitality, which basically will suck you in. Aeris isn't in the vacuum right now, so Aeris can attack it. It is vulnerable to lightning and the shield is down, so perfect opportunity for her to attack it with a lightning spell, so Thunder. And this is where parry becomes so useful for Cloud, because with parry you can avoid getting sucked in. Okay. There we go, do a focus thrust against it. Now I think I was going to get Aeris to do another spell, but I'll actually build up her ATB and heal. I think that would probably be the better thing to do. Cloud just got hit by a bomb that was on the ground, but that's fine, he can take the hit. Do another focus thrust, we're definitely getting there. Keep attacking. Now if he had refocus, I reckon we'd have staggered the guy by now. See, if I hadn't made that mistake, we'd have staggered him. So it's okay, we'll go back to Aeris, we'll just build up a bit of ATB. And now what I'm going to do is pray, move back to Cloud, because when it does chair salvo, I want it to be attacking Cloud and not Aeris. House Call. And our health is looking pretty good. Not feeling nervous right now at all. Aeris is a bit close. There's Jetstream. Thank you AI, putting her too close. Oh well. Nobody's perfect. Full ATB now, could be attacking the arms. But I'd rather just have all my ATB, because right now we're in that situation again where you can see the pattern that we're following. So it's going to do the its charge attack. It's weak to wind. That might even stagger it, her doing that. Let's see. She's going to do arrow against it. Heal block and go into Punisher mode. First attack counter. And that's now put it into its final phase. So it's not staggered it, but it's put it into its final phase because it's now, I think, 25% health is when it goes into this final mode where it does this move, Heavensward, where it runs around the Colosseum throwing chairs at you. And your objective here is to get it on the left of your screen and run alongside with it, and that way you should be able to dodge most of the chairs. You're not always going to get it perfectly right, and there are, of course, also bombs on the ground, which don't help. So here we go. Keep it on the left there of the chairs. Dodge them. Try and keep it roughly on the left. Don't worry too much about bombs on the ground. Most of the time, Cloud is quick enough. They don't seem to explode straight away, so you can just run past without being damaged by the bombs on the ground. But okay, as soon as it finishes Heavensward, it does this. You get this animation, it shows you that word which says Hellbound. This is a minute, but I cannot state the importance of this moment of vulnerability. It's very short. You can only use a simple spell, not a more powerful one like Blizzara. Just Blizzard will do, but it has to be whatever spell it's weak to. So, and that will knock it down from the ceiling. It'll land on the floor. Then you need to do a couple of physical attacks. That will pressurize it. Then, once pressurized, you can do a powerful spell that will hugely increase its pressure bar. Okay, so don't worry about all the steps because we're about to do them. So Blizzard. First. There you go. That's now going to knock it to the ground. Okay. Couple of physical attacks. Just a couple. That will pressurize it. Now you've got time, I can assure you, for a powerful spell. So Blizzara. And let's just do Thunder because I think it's a bit quicker. And by the way, it's weak to when it falls from the ceiling, it's weak to every kind of magic. So you can use any kind of magic right now. So Thunder. Now just look at how much the pressure gauge fills up with a Blizzara and Thunder. Just watch. Completely. That's why I was at pains to emphasize to you just how important that moment of vulnerability is, because it's in its final phase. If you don't optimize on its moments of vulnerability, you know, it'll get to carry on doing lots of nasty moves against you. So this is how you bring it to its knees. Now, with the staggered gauge full and 1 ATB available again, if I had used refocus earlier, this would be no problem. We're going to be a bit hard pressed for time, but I'm going to try to get that second ATB to do Infinity's End. That's the goal. Okay, so let's just attack, attack, attack. See if we can do it. Now, as it is, I think we could finish it off, possibly with a braver attack. Let's just be ambitious, though. Let's try Infinity's End. I think there's enough time. There you go. So, that is how to defeat the Hell House. It's still not, I would say, still not an easy battle. I reckon there are more efficient ways of doing it, but this is the way that I found to take a battle that goes from stressful to actually a walk in the park, quite fun, and really actually, in the end, quite easy. So I hope that you enjoyed that and managed to see the vulnerable moments. If you got any feedback, let me know. But thank you very much for your time. All the best.